on to one of our top stories. Extreme weather conditions experienced in several parts of the island since last evening have affected thousands of people. What caused the sudden change in the weather patterns? Which areas have been affected worst? And what can be expected over the next few days? Newsfirst Stephanie Lazarus is standing by at the Weather Centre with a comprehensive report. Stephanie, it's over to you.
Well, thank you, Nicola. As we mentioned earlier in the headlines, 16 people have been killed owing to earth slips, floods and landslides that were caused by the heavy rains. Most of the fatalities were reported from the Kaluthara district.
An 8-year-old girl and 4-year-old boy were killed in an earth slip in the Polwattagoda area in Kitulgoda.
My sister-in-law was stuck in the rubble. We were able to pull her out. We searched for the children, but the house was covered with mud and rocks entirely. The children were pulled out in the morning with the use of a backhoe. We took them to the hospital, but they had passed away.
11
people have been killed in a series of landslides and earth slips caused by the heavy rains experienced since last evening in Matugama, Aglawatta, Bulatsingala and Meegahatanna in the Kaluthara district. An earth slip killed 3 people in the Dammagewatta area in Kitulgoda, Kaluthara. Among the deceased was a 9-year-old girl.
We are at the Kitulgoda area where a similar landslide took place within very close proximity to the earlier incident. Now as you can see, there is a huge embankment of mud and soil on the house that was destroyed completely from the landslide.
A girl was rescued first and she was sent to hospital. The police and navy personnel came here and 3 individuals were pulled out of the rubble. They were pronounced dead when they were admitted to hospital. A man and a woman were killed by an earth slip in the Omatta area in Agalawatta. 2 people were also killed in an earth slip in the Ambagahakanda area in Mahagama, Bulatsingala. The police say that Susil Rajapaksa, also a resident of Ambagahakanda, was killed in an earth slip. A 73-year-old man was also killed in an earth slip in Kudakalupahana in Meegahatanna. A husband and wife were killed when a stone parapet wall collapsed on their house on Dharmashokamawata Talangama at dawn today. The police say that a parapet wall constructed for the security of an adjacent home had collapsed on them. The tragedy occurred at about 4 a.m. during heavy rain. This parapet wall had collapsed onto this house. What you can see here is the room that the couple was sleeping in.
The wall collapsed once. My father asked him not to construct it again. He said if the house is damaged, he would pay for it. For the past couple of days, my father said that this wall would collapse. My father finally went up to him and said it was not safe. He said it was safe and would not collapse.
An on-scene inquest was carried out by the sudden death inspector in Thalangama, ALA Hemalata. The bodies were later taken to the Koswatta hospital.
But we are now joined by the director of the Landslides Division of the NBRO. Thank you, Mr. RMS Bandara, for joining us. The first question is there a continued risk of landslides in these areas?
Yeah, definitely yes. Because of the last night heavy rainfall especially to the Kaluthara district, there are some landslides as well as there are some deaths also. Because of this heavy rainfall, sudden heavy rainfall, if it continues for next 24 hours, there may be more landslides in that area because there are a lot of vulnerable areas that is yet to go with this heavy rainfall. Because of that, National Building Research Organization already issued an early warning to these areas, especially Kaluthara district, that is contain Agalawatta, Bulatsingala, Matugama, Palindanuwara, and Kalutara, Pradeshiya Divisional Secretariat. And same time we issued another warning to the Gold District. It contains Neluwa and Thavalama Divisional Secretariat. Because of that, if the rain continues, there may be some landslides in future, especially rockfalls, cutting areas and landslides.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Aramis Bandara. But moving on, the inclement weather being experienced in many parts of the country has affected a large number of people. According to the police, one individual died as a result of flooding.
"38-year-old MH Chaminda died after being washed away in a flash flood that occurred following last night's torrential downpour in the Badugama area in Matugama. Three vehicles were washed away in the floodwaters that affected the Mavaramandi area in Kadawatha at around 3:30 a.m. today. According to our correspondent in the area, a three-wheeler, a van and a car were washed away in this manner. Area residents had been able to save the occupants of the vehicles.
A person called for me from down there. When I came here, I saw that the vehicle was leaning on the tree. There were 4 people on the tree, including a girl. We tied a rope to this light post and used it to rescue the people. 2 people had been washed away in the three-wheeler and they were waving at us from over there. The lorry came from that side. We tied a rope to that lorry and saved the other 2 people.
Delays in train services were reported today due to the Ragama railway station being inundated.
නිරන්තරයෙන් කුඩා වැස්සකදී පවා මේ රාගම නගරය ජලයෙන් යටවීම.
The Ragama town is flooded even when it rains a bit. The people are disappointed that the authorities have not taken steps to rectify this for so long.
ඇත්තටම ජනතාව වශයෙන් අපි කනගාටුවට පත් වෙනවා. කියන්න කනගාටුයි මෙච්චර ප්‍රසිද්ධ නගරයක් වෙලා.
We are ashamed to say that even though our city is a famous city with a famous hospital, it gets flooded like this. There are so many politicians who could work for Ragama. However, we still can't get it done.
An individual who attempted to rescue a cow from the raging floodwater was washed away in the ex-Hatmaut area in Kiribatgoda. According to our correspondent in the area, the victim was rescued by an area resident.
He dived in to save the cows. Although I too dived to save him, I couldn't.
The Valipanda town, located on the Alutgama-Matugama main road, was inundated today. Severely affected as incessant rains caused the road to be flooded. Several low-lying areas in the Galle district, such as Gona Pinuwala, Baddegama, Alutwala and Kilindiwala, were inundated due to the inclement weather conditions being experienced in the area. 30 houses were submerged in the Yakkalamul area due to the Pol Atumodara river overflowing. Over 100 people have been displaced as a result of the flooding. Our correspondent in the area noted that floodwaters in some areas in Imaduwa on the Yakkalamulla-Makumbara road have risen to about 8 feet. The inclement weather conditions being experienced also caused the Ginganga to overflow, flooding the Hiniduma, Udugama and Tavalama areas. Vehicular traffic along the Udugama-Nelua road was severely affected due to the flooding as well as landslides that occurred in the area. Heavy rains also caused flooding in the Arawala area along the Maharagama-Piliandala main road. 2 Air Force helicopters have been deployed to provide relief to the public that have been affected by the inclement. According to the Air Force, the helicopters are focusing their operations in the Kalutara district at present. Meanwhile, over 500 army personnel have been deployed to provide relief to the residents of the Kalutara district who have been affected by flooding and landslides. Army media spokesperson Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuriya meanwhile noted that 10 lifeguard teams of the Sri Lanka Navy have also been deployed to provide relief.
Well, we have our reporters Chaturanga Hapuarachi joining us via Skype from Mathugama and Madhushka Balasuri, who is currently at the Met Department with the officials of the Met Department and the Disaster Management Centre. Let's now take a look at what the prevailing weather conditions are in Kalutara, which is one of the most worst affected districts. Staff reporter Chaturanga Hapuarachi is standing by live with more details. Chaturanga, what can we expect in those areas?
Yes, Stephanie, we are now at the Mathugama area. Now, this can be considered as the most affected area in the Kalutara district from the adverse weather conditions that were prevailing. Now, 5 casualties were reported in the Agalawatta area in Mathugama, including 2 children owing to 2 landslides. Now, according to what we've gathered, 11 deaths were reported from the whole of Kalutara district and close to about 4,800 people have been affected. Camps are also set up. The police and military personnel have been deployed to aid these affected people. I am Chaturanga Hapuarachi reporting from Mathugama for Newsfirst. Over to you, Stephanie.
Well, the Met Department has forecasted that wind speeds in areas off the coast extending from Mana to Portugal via Colombo and Hambantota could reach up to 80 kilometers per hour in the next 12 hours, causing heavy swells as well. Let's now cross over to the Met Department, where Madhushka Balasuriya is standing by with more details.
Well, thanks guys. I'm here at the Met Department and I have with me now the Director General of the Met Department, Lalit Chandrapala. Mr. Lalit, can you tell us to what extent is an occurrence like this, what we've been experiencing today, preventable?
The weather we have been experiencing during the last few days is pre-monsoonal. That's we are expecting the monsoon to break in within the next few days. So with the pre-monsoonal conditions, rains were mainly confined to the southwestern quadrant of the country, with more rain experiencing in the western coastal area and in Sabaragamuwa. But all of a sudden yesterday, a zone of wind convergence formed over the country, and that resulted in amplifying the rainfall which is occurring due to the pre-monsoonal conditions. The formation of wind convergence zone is practically very difficult to predict in advance, and also even if predicted, the location where the heaviest rainfall is going to be practically impossible. So in any way, the heavier rainfall can occur anywhere in the zone of convergence. So that is what really happened yesterday, and the heavier rainfalls were mostly confined to around Kalutara, Bandaragama, in that area.
So now you told us that it was very difficult to predict this weather, but could you tell us how much worse it's going to get and when we can expect it to get better?
Now we are in the pre-monsoonal situation. So, and also we are expecting the monsoon to break in within the next few days, mainly within the next week. So now, tomorrow too, we are expecting more rain in the southwestern quadrant of the country. That's in the Sabaragamuwa, Central Hills, in the western, and also in Galle and Mathura districts. These conditions will continue for another few days, and afterwards we are expecting the monsoon to break in. Once the monsoon breaks in, then once again we have to expect more rain in the southwestern quadrant.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chandrapala. And now I have the Assistant Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Khodipilli, with me. Now, Mr. Chandrapala just said that it was very difficult to predict what was going to happen with this occurrence of this bad and inclement weather. So, for building on that, how difficult is it for you to prevent these 16 deaths that have been reported from happening?
Yeah, so far it has been reported 16 deaths, and so we have taken all the measures to have the rescue and relief missions for so far. So better preparedness must be with the community for the better safety.
Well, so what can you tell the public now who are experiencing these conditions? What advice can you give them to prevent themselves from getting into harm?
Yeah, because disaster management units been covering entire country, so people we have been training them since long. So every village, the vulnerable villages need to, that people need to get all the measurements for their better preparedness. We have given police cooperation to the community to get as resilience. So we are trying and we are advising the community always link with the disaster management center and the district units, and we are hoping we are trying to ensure your maximum safety, but people need to attend and do every program for disaster management. The community preparedness ensures the better safety.
Well, there you have it, folks. The message is, do get in touch with authorities and always stick to the guidelines. But from me here at the Met Department, back to you guys.
Thank you, Madhushka Balasuri. The Newsfirst Weather Centre is standing by to keep you informed on the latest developments with regard to the adverse weather conditions as and when they unfold. For real-time satellite imagery of the weather patterns prevailing over the island, you can also visit our website www.newsfirst.lk and stay with Newsfirst for more.